Hello and welcome to another edition of Buckeye Banter, where we've been telling the stories of people who played for or worked around Ohio State athletics. And I have a real treat for you today. We've got father, son, both Rose Bowl champions, Jerry and Ryan Rudzinski, joining me. Thanks, guys, for taking the time.
Great to be with you. Excited to talk to you, Seth.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Jerry, let's start with you. You were born and raised, I believe, in Centerville, Ohio, born on July 16th, 1975. We discussed before the show. We know some folks in common. You went to Kettering Alter High School. Tell me a little bit about growing up in the Centerville area.
Yeah, well, you just pointed. I got a big birthday this summer, so great place to grow up. Though my father and mother went to the University of Dayton. My dad played at the University of Dayton, and South Dayton was an awesome place to grow up. In fact, my wife is from Kettering. We kind of figured we'd end up there when we got married, but get an apartment, then you get a job, and then you get a house, and then you have kids, and then they're in school, and here we are in Columbus, which has been a great place to live. But going back to your question, grew up in Centerville, did all the youth sports, local swim club. I mean, I did them all growing up, just like Ryan. I mean, I was playing golf, playing tennis, soccer, football, you name it, I was playing it. And my father helped coach me when I was coming up in football. Had a decision to make between Centerville and Alter. Centerville was a big-time juggernaut back then, like Kirk Herbstreit, went to Centerville. And the problem was at Centerville, you could only play one way. They'd play you on offense or defense. And I'm looking at Alter like, man, I could be a two-way player. And that was a big draw for me to go to Kettering Alter. And, we had some Buckeyes at Alter, Jeff Graham, Jim Borchers, who was the team doctor for a while. But Alter's known for the Paxson brothers, Jim and John Paxson.
That's right.
So great memories of growing up in Dayton. I get back there every time I can. And I'm a Buckeye fan, but you better believe I'm rooting for the Flyers too.
No doubt.
Yeah.
It's such a great place to see basketball. And my brothers-in-law went to Alter, and I remember stories from the 80s. They're a little older. They got to see, I think Villanova came and worked out there the year they won the 85 NCAA championship. So he skipped class and went and watched Raleigh Massimino train the guys and get ready.
Ed Pickney.
Yes.
They would host those. David Robinson, Ed Pickney. I mean, we had them all rolling through the UD Arena. So that was fun.
Well, Ryan, you were born in Columbus. I didn't track your birthday down. What year were you born so we can make your dad and I feel old?
July 25th, 2004. So
there you go.
He's got the big 5-0 coming up this summer. I got the 21st. So we're celebrating two big ones. But yeah, born and raised Columbus, Ohio. Grew up right off Lane Avenue there in South UA. Went to St. Andrew and then Watterson. So and now Ohio State. So
and you were pivotal. I know, having written for the paper and even called the games after you graduated. You helped start that stretch that Watterson's on now, and I know Coach Brian Kennedy gives your class a lot of credit. So certainly fond memories of you playing multiple sports. You were a 3-sport guy in high school, weren't you?
Yeah. Playing 3 sports, that was always something I took great pride in. And I mean, still today, being able to say that I played football, basketball, baseball all 4 years. It's just something that you don't hear nowadays a lot. And, it's something that I really pride myself on. And I think it really helped me in the long run with all sports, and just helped me meet a lot of great friends, got to work with a bunch of great coaches, and obviously have a ton of good memories from playing on those teams. And, not just the school teams, but, travel teams, select teams, whatever it may be. And, so it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of success. My class specifically, obviously, we didn't get it done like they recently did in football. So can't say that. But yeah, I think my class for sure helped turn it around. That senior class, when I was a senior, so they would have been sophomores, but they were a huge contributing factor to my senior season. And then eventually, as they became juniors and seniors, really considered to just keep climbing. And eventually this year got it all done. So I was fired up for those guys, and, text with a bunch of those guys, those are my guys. And It's a lot of fun, a lot of good memories.
Yeah, they went 16-0 this past year, won the state title. And I remember texting you and saying, hey, they won a state title. You guys go win the national title. You got it done. Jerry, we're talking to him. You've mentioned as well the idea of playing multiple sports. My son's an 8th grader, and he's playing travel soccer. And the coach was asking him at center back to change styles a little bit, like what they're asking him to do. And one of the other dads was like a semi-pro baseball player when he was coming up. And he said, well, one thing you can see about Joey is he plays baseball too, so he tracks the ball well. It's like these different sports, they do matter, don't they? You can gain a lot from playing different ones.
That's the truth. You know, I remember getting recruited, and these coaches would talk about being a knee bender, and I'm like, well, what the heck's that mean? It's a common football term, but it does matter. You know, you want guys that can bend their knees, and boy, you go play some basketball, you play some soccer. I'm thinking of one of his old teammates. I'm thinking about Charlie, soccer player, just strong legs, strong lower body. He was just a dynamite football player. I think he got that from soccer, but you know, playing shortstop, what's his coach telling him? Hey, bend your knees, get low on you know, down on that ball. So there's no doubt that it all translates. And I remember Thad Mata one time saying, you know, talking about multi-sport guys, and you know, I don't like these basketball only guys. I want a guy he's faced that guys on third, you know, 2 outs. I'm pitching in the 9th inning. Like, I got to throw him a good pitch, but it can't be that good. I mean, that's just a pressure that matters. And the other thing I would say about that, Seth, is reps, just games. I mean, you play some school basketballs, maybe some spring basketball. You play all these summer baseball games. Like, it's hundreds of games you're playing. You go play football, you know, you got your 10 games a year. Maybe you go on a run like you just talked about Watterson did. You maybe get 15, 16 games. Compare that to playing hundreds of games. It's competing. It's pressure. You know, all the different coaches you see. That's one of the things I want all my kids to do is to play sports. You get to see what a good coach looks like and a bad coach looks like. And it's just more opportunities for all that. So it all feeds itself. And, you know, I think sometimes coaches can have a mixed message like, oh, we love multi-sport athletes. But then at the end of the day, if you're not there for their off-season lifting session, they're kind of a little grumpy. Yeah. But you know, come the season, they're going to play the best guys. They're going to play the guys that get them the W. So play all the sports you can. I love that. Yeah.
Well, let's go back. You were Division II Defensive Player of the Year at Alter, and you're 2-time All-State. So tell me a little bit about A, playing high school football at Alter, and then B, getting recruited and eventually deciding to go to Ohio State.
Yeah, I get a lot of people up here saying, oh, Alter, what a great football school. When I was there, it was more of a basketball school. Just mentioned the Paxson brothers, and they had one of the winningest coaches all time in basketball. We would get it. That was back when they would only let 4 teams per region into the playoffs. So we made the playoffs 2 years. My senior year, we didn't make it. But I mean, I loved it. It was the time of my life. And I tried to tell Ryan, like, there's nothing more fun than high school football as he was going through it, and just embrace every game because it's Friday night. And, you know, you're a key part to the team. When I was at Ohio State, it's like I was one little piece of the pie, but we had Eddie George and Orlando Pace and Terry Glenn and, you know, all these guys where I'm just trying to do my one little assignment. In high school football, again, playing both sides, I was like, I got to play really good if we're going to have a good game. And it's just fun to have the ball in your hands. It's fun to be making a lot of tackles. And I mean, it was just an awesome experience. I know a lot of people feel that way about their high school. So I'm not saying like Alter's better than Watterson or better than Centerville, none of that, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Sure.
And yeah, I played both. I played quarterback, actually. My older brother was on the team. He played quarterback. And then when he graduated, I became the quarterback. And I played kind of like a safety linebacker spot. You know, just loved it. And I mean, truly, I started football in 6th grade. I wasn't one of these guys that started in about 2nd grade, but I played offensive guard. I love playing offensive guard. I mean, I was like, there's 22 spots out there. Just give me one of them. I just want to be out there playing. And I love that as I coach young guys. Like, I don't want to see the kid that's like, I only want to play wide receiver. I want the kid that's just get me out there. One of those 22 spots, I'll go make it happen. And I loved it. I grew up in a very much a football family. I mentioned my dad at University of Dayton. I had an uncle play for Michigan State and Green Bay Packers. Another uncle played for Notre Dame. So these guys were just my heroes. And I just thought the game of football in my high school football coach hung the moon,
Yeah. What about being recruited? How did that start, and how many offers did you have? What was it like back then compared to, and we'll get to Ryan's recruitment here in a minute. But
well, I would start by saying Ohio was a hotbed for high school football. It still is, but there was just so many kids getting Division I scholarships out of Ohio, and I was fortunate to be one of them. I started getting some attention as a junior, and I was a bigger kid. Like sophomore year, I think I was 6'1", maybe 205. Like I was a strong weight room guy. So, I mean, I physically looked big on the field. You show me a 6'1", 205 kid on a high school field, he looks big. And I had those specs back then, kind of grew early, filled out early. So I started as a sophomore, made some plays. Junior year, I was going both ways. And then going into my senior year, my phone was ringing, and I had quite a few scholarship offers. I went and visited Notre Dame, Ohio State, UCLA, and I canceled visits with Tennessee and Illinois. Illinois was good back then.
Yeah, they were.
And but Ohio State was just the right fit. I mean, I grew up watching those Sunday morning replays of the Buckeyes and Keith Byers and Steve Tovar and Pepper Johnson. I mean, I just love the Buckeyes. So it was a great fit for me. I didn't want to go real far from home. I was interested in Notre Dame, being Catholic and everything. That was a big draw, having an uncle play there. But Ohio State was the right fit. And it was a lot different then. And I would just say the biggest difference is all you have to look at is just like how many guys are getting offered. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's a shockingly low number of Ohio high school players that are getting these Division I offers now. So
yeah,
I guess I grew up in the right era.
Well, Ryan, it sounds like your dad grew a little faster than you did, but you could also just elbow him in the ribs a little bit and say, "Dad, you wore such big pads back then." It was a lot different.
No, he was a big guy. It's funny. I'll see he played offensive guard and stuff. I'll see a picture of him in 6th grade, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I mean, I didn't weigh that much until I was a sophomore in high school. I mean, it's hilarious. Just in terms of development, how different it was. And, I think, a lot of people think that my size and height from his family, it's actually my mom's side. My mom has got some her dad's super tall. I got some tall uncles on that side, but, it's a good combination of both. But the height for sure doesn't come from him.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this, because I remember writing about you, and listen, and the recruiting was different, right? You're coming out of COVID, so everything was really weird anyway. Your dad mentioned already the number of scholarships, plus I know transfer portal was already starting to heat up and things like that. So fewer high schoolers are getting offered, but you were a late bloomer. Tell me, you and I talked before, your height and weight as a freshman and even your junior year was a little low, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I think, ballpark, when I came in as a freshman, I think I was probably, 5'8", 5'9", 115 pounds. That might be generous too. So I was super, super small, just grew late, I don't know. And then, by the time junior year came around, all that, COVID, sleeping in, whatever, I don't even know what it was, but got taller. I was probably about 6'3", probably not quite 6'4" at that point, and I was probably 155, 160 pounds. And then eventually senior year, when it was all said and done, I think I played my senior year at about 6'4", 175 or so. And right now I'm sitting at about 6'4", 215, 220, somewhere in there. So if that gives you any idea about the type of development that's been. It's been a crazy 8 years or however much it's been.
Coach Mick got a hold of you at Ohio State, it sounds like. Now, you played starting quarterback, and then your senior year you kind of split between quarterback and receiver, but you moved to safety. You played defense full time, and you set the team record at Waterson, a very storied program with 10 interceptions. How fun was it to be on that side of the ball full time?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, as I'm listening to him talk about his days at Alter and playing both sides of the ball, I'm thinking to myself, man, both sides of the ball. I wish I did that all 4 years.
Yeah.
Obviously playing quarterback's a super fun position. You get the ball in your hands all the time, but it was super fun senior year, just being able to do everything, going out to wide receiver, going out to safety, returning kicks, returning punts, even being the punter. It was all just super fun. I like to tell people, yeah, I mean, playing both ways, it's the best thing ever. If somebody asked me, would I rather play half a football game or a whole football game, I would say I'd rather play the whole football game. So being on the field the whole game, literally not coming off the field except for, field goals and stuff like that. That's the way I would do it. And I wish I did it my whole career that way, but it was a blast. And I mean, obviously, I think in terms of recruiting, it completely changed the game for me. Going over, playing safety, showing my versatility, catching balls as a receiver, returning kicks. The coaches really valued that, and I think if I never made that switch and played both ways, and I wouldn't be where I am today. So for sure, it was for sure a tough decision and tough thing to do in the moment for sure. But long term, it paid off.
Seth, the story about we knew the interception record was 10 interceptions, and Coach Kennedy had asked me to, hey, when you can't help out with these linebackers. So I'm on the sidelines, and he gets his 10th interception. It's on the Watterson sidelines, and I'm like, that's it. He lands. There's 4 or 5 Watterson guys around. He catches it coming out of bounds. His momentum took him out of bounds. I sprint over there, get in the middle of all of them, strip that ball out of there. And before he even turns around, I have it set aside in a bag under the bench on the sidelines, because I'm like, that's the record-breaking ball.
Yeah.
And then the refs are like, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Throw us back in the ball. And I'm like, I start like, who's got the ball? I don't know where it's at. Who's got the ball? I'm playing along with it. But that thing made it to my bag real quick.
Who were you playing? Was that all the way at the
Township people on this?
Hamilton Township? Yes. That's hilarious. I know their principal. I'm going to talk to him soon.
That's our secret. Yeah.
You decided to become a preferred walk-on, I guess, is the parlance, right? That language might be dying here as we make some changes. But take me through that decision. And you wanted to be a Buckeye, and I know you fielded some other offers, but becoming a Buckeye was important to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously super important. Being around it my whole life, obviously him doing radio for the Buckeyes as I was growing up. I remember Saturday mornings, it was just, they had a home game. I'd ride my bike, go down, he'd have his radio show or whatever, and I'd just hang out right outside St. John's Arena and, do all the tailgate stuff that people do. I remember playing on those little fields, doing the getting players high fives as they would walk through on their way to the stadium, and getting in there early. I mean, watching warm-ups, all that stuff. It was super cool. I mean, I would go to every single game. He would take me to some spring practices, some stuff like that. And then just being around a ton of people that he played with, seeing his experiences, hearing his stories. It was really just a dream come true. So, yeah, I mean, I had some other offers. Division II, small Division I, but I mean, when I remember making that phone call right here in his office with Coach Murphy, and when they extended that offer to me, I was like, I mean, truly a dream come true. I mean, I get chills thinking about it. It was just unbelievable. I remember growing up as a kid, literally blowing out my birthday cake candles and wishing, man, I want to be a Buckeye.
Awesome.
Stuff like that, wearing a jersey, really just all that stuff. So between all that and obviously him, it was an easy decision. So
great. Jerry, let's go back in time then. Talk to me about your arrival at Ohio State. Where were you, like, weight-wise, as far as what they wanted you to be? I remember talking to Ryan Miller and even Greg Belisari, and Ryan was funny. He told me, the only thing he really told me was drink a bunch of vitamin D milk. And that's how they were going to. Things have changed as far as nutrition and all that. But what was it like for you as you arrived?
Yeah, I was probably, again, 6'1". I was fully grown and sophomore in high school, but probably about 215.
Mm-hmm.
You know, lifting programs were different. So, I mean, I could bench press and do a lot of that, but just the whole Dave Kennedy program, our strength coach back then, the lunges, the hang cleans, all that squatting and things like that. That's where I had to make a lot of strides. So I was not ready to get on that field as a true freshman. And Ryan Miller, I mean, I owe a lot to him. He just kind of said, he was my host when I was on my recruiting visit, and a real mentor to me and a dear friend to this day. We just played golf recently. Talked to Ryan a lot, but he's like, just stick with it, Jerry. Just stick around. He goes, there's guys that come in your recruiting class. Some of them get homesick. Some of them might not make the grades. Some of them might transfer. Some of them might get hurt. Just kind of keep sticking with it. Because I go into that linebacker room, Seth, and there's Lorenzo Styles. There's Craig Powell. There's, we had some Preston Harrison. We had some really outstanding players. And but what happened that offseason? Well, a couple of them declared early for the draft, and so-and-so didn't come back, and all of a sudden you just start moving up the depth chart a little bit there. But Ryan and I have talked about this. When I remember going as a senior in high school to a spring practice, and I'm looking how big these guys are, or even when you're getting recruited, they're just these offensive linemen, defensive linemen. You just can't believe how big they are. And I think what happens is you're around it so much, your eyes kind of adjust, and you just start getting used to people being that big. And, the bad news is there's this great offensive line and great fullback and great tight end on the other side of the ball when you're in practice. The good news is you got some really good interior defensive linemen and defensive ends. And, all of a sudden the personnel around you on the defensive side of the ball is so good that all you got to do is do your 1/11th of the job. And I made a ton of mistakes early on, as all freshmen do. But, I guess I had a high pain threshold or something. I just kept showing up and getting a little bit better and waiting for my name to be called. And I mean, I'm making it sound like it's all like rainbows and cotton candy. Like, that's not the case. It was a grind, but I just wanted college football to be on like my personal life resume. It was just so important to me. There was nothing that was going to stop me from playing college football, in whatever role I could find. So I just stuck with it and was able to eventually become a sophomore and a junior and work my way up.
Well, yeah, you redshirted in 94, and 95 comes around. That's a huge year for Ohio State football. You mentioned Eddie George. He won the Heisman that year. John Cooper's building momentum as a coach. Now, and you started the Boston College game, I believe, in the Meadowlands and the Kickoff Classic, and you suffered a stress fracture. But what was that like to be, second-year player? We're going on the road for their first game, and you did get to start.
Yeah, it was surreal. Like I remember my freshman year, I went through the challenging redshirt year, and again, all these guys departed, and it was just like process of elimination. I got moved up on the depth chart. It was me, Ryan Miller, Greg Belisari, and I got the nod for that Boston College game. And I was like, first play of the game, they're going to test me. I'm a freshman. I'm unproven. I'm a young guy. They're going to come right at me. And sure enough, they ran an ISO right at me. But I mean, I spent an entire year on the scout team practicing against, one of our tackles was Corey Stringer. The other one was Orlando Pace. So I get into this Boston College game. I'm looking around like, not everybody has tackles like this. I mean, it was Matt Calhoun, Nikki Sualua were our fullbacks. I know some of you younger listeners might not know who these guys are, but some of the older guys do. I had seen better in practice. So I fit in out there, didn't make a bunch of tackles, but a big thrill. It was like literally 100 degrees that day in New Jersey. You could see steam coming off that turf. I still remember looking at Rob Kelly about the third series of the game, and we still laugh about it to this day, just like how gassed we were and how tired we were. And, and then the next week in practice, I was doing a drill against Ricky Dudley, suffered a stress fracture in my foot. Tried to kind of practice through it, and it just wasn't getting better. So we got an X-ray on it, and it turned out there was a fracture in there. So I had to sit out for a while. Lost my starting job for a couple years there, but it was just part of the journey. And you just got to keep showing up, like I said.
Well, that kickoff classic game, bit of trivia. That's the only game Eddie George didn't have 100 yards that year, and he had 99.
I remember that.
So yeah. So quite the season for Eddie, obviously.
Well, Bob Hoying, Terry Glenn, Dudley, Walt Harris was running that offense. You're right. That was a big year. All of a sudden, it just all clicked, and it's like, who's this Ohio State team?
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly was. And then the next year in '96, you get to go to the Rose Bowl. Certainly, there were higher hopes, I suppose. Although the Rose Bowl would have been the pinnacle. It's just if the undefeated season comes, you're a national champion as well. But can you take me through being in a Rose Bowl as a player versus going out there this year where your son's on the team and they're playing in a playoff game at the Rose Bowl? What are the different feelings there?
Well, here's what really stood out to me. That's the first time I've been to the Rose Bowl since that game I played in. As strange as this sounds, like it was almost way cooler as a spectator. Put the father-son thing aside, but when you play in that game, you bus up to the stadium, you walk right into the tunnel, you go out there, it's beautiful. You can see some mountains, it's blue skies. The turf is just, it's like a golf course. Literally, it's like the nicest golf course you've ever been on. It's spectacular. So, but you just don't get to see the outside of the stadium and take all that in. Whereas I went out there this year, we went out the day before, took some pictures, walked around the stadium, scoped out Pasadena. That morning we went to the Parade of Roses, again, waited for the team buses. We're always waiting for Ryan to pull up on the team bus and do things like that. And just to see it all from the outside, it was kind of like, I've told some old teammates that haven't been back since they played. I'm like, you have to go back. It blew my mind. And there is the Rose Bowl, and then there's every other venue in college football, if you ask me. So really neat to play in it as a player, but maybe you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, yeah, it was a big thrill. It really soaked in though this year when the Buckeyes went out there and played Oregon.
I need you to call my wife. I haven't been yet, and maybe you could talk her into let me go sometime. Ryan, I guess to you on that topic, being a part of the team at the Rose Bowl, what was that experience like?
Yeah, no, it was obviously unbelievable experience. I mean, you're going out there, getting the rematch, first of all, versus Oregon. I mean, who cares? We'll drop a ball wherever. We'll play them in a parking lot, but getting to go out against those guys, we were fired up against. And then, add on top of that, the Rose Bowl. I mean, the granddaddy of them all. You're going out there. I mean, I remember watching Terrell Pryor and Jim Tressel go out there and take on Chip Kelly and the Oregon Ducks and stuff. And I remember that. And then obviously, they played in the Rose Bowl many times, but getting to see that OSU Oregon rematch, that was super cool. But going out there, we're fired up to get a second shot at those guys. Obviously we all know how the game went. We rolled them, but it was unbelievable being out there, Southern California. The Rose Bowl really does a great job of player hospitality, and they have events and the media day and all that stuff. And it's just really just a first class bowl game. And I mean, they just do it right. I mean, they've been doing it for so long, but it's an unbelievable experience. I mean, yeah, he kind of mentioned it. Driving in, you got the mountains, you got all that stuff. I mean, Southern California is just so beautiful, and then they just plop that stadium right there, and it's just an unbelievable, landscape. It's a little older than I thought, but I think it provides a cool sense of history. It's just super rich in history, stuff like that. But you get in, we bus in, and we're right in the locker room. And I mean, the locker room, huge locker room. It was really cool in the locker room. They had all these pictures around the inside of the locker room. Various, they have everything from World Cups that they've hosted to concerts to the Olympics to football games. And so I mean, you're not obviously able to look at every single one, but just you're kind of looking at it like, wow, this is just it's so much history. And obviously go out there for warm-ups. He always had said Rose Bowl grass. I mean, I'd always heard it, and so it had high expectations. It was what I expected. I mean, it was nice. It was for sure super nice. I don't know if some of the guys who played on it I think they said it got a little slick that second half, but it sure looked good. But
The dew started
no,
setting in.
it was
Yeah.
unbelievable. I had no issues with it, but it was an unbelievable experience. And then obviously the way that the game went, the scenery and stuff was awesome. But my favorite thing and the prettiest thing to me was that scoreboard.
Absolutely.
But no, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Well, Jerry, you guys won that Rose Bowl, but you saw so many guys go to the NFL. So 1997 comes along, and now you are entrenched as a starter. It's you and Andy Katzenmoyer, and I mean, it was interesting. 97 was my freshman year, so I got on campus, got to see you guys play. Take me through that first year as a full-time starter a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Niall Diggs, Andy Katzenmoyer, myself. Andy came off the huge 96 season. And yeah, we had a kind of a new cast of characters, and we were really good, but we lost to Penn State, Michigan, Florida State in the bowl game. And if you're part of Buckeye Nation, like those are the games you're expected to win. And so I think we climbed into maybe the top 5, but not the kind of expectations we had for ourselves there to lose those games. But yeah, I mean, at that point, Antoine Winfield became a starter. That's the greatest player I ever played with, including some of the other names from the 90s that we've talked about. So he was taking games over. Andy won the Butkus that year. So it was fun to play alongside him. I mean, I think he weighed 272 pounds as a middle linebacker, and he was running a legit 4.4, so to see him in action was special. And I remember I just felt like I was in really good shape that year. And I've mentioned this to Ryan, like, red shirt first year, you're really adjusting, and then you get in a little better shape. That was my 4th year in the program. And that's when I really felt like, okay, physically I'm good to go. Like I've just so many reps in practice with Coach Puggage's drills and just the muscle memory of everything. It takes time. And we talked about recruiting. Like, I get it. You want these older guys versus these younger guys because of the muscle memory and just the amount of reps they've gotten. So I did feel good that year. I think I had a pretty good year. A lot of good memories that year. And I just wish we would have won more games.
Yeah, I want to bring up one memory. And I guess, first of all, as a fan, and that's what I'm speaking as at that time, that Michigan game, as much as the 96 Michigan loss hurt, the 97 one, they go on to win the national title. I think there were at least 3 interceptions thrown by Buckeyes in that game, and you lose only 20-14. It felt like it was there for the taking. Mm-hmm. And you had a 20-yard fake punt rush. I'm sure Ryan's heard you talk about that over the years.
Oh, that was crazy. I want to know who has the Ohio State lead in rushing average, because I got to be up there. I mean, that was a wild game, though. Charles Woodson, I was on the punt team, and he took one back, and I missed a tackle, and just brutal.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
Yeah, I know.
Big Ten Network does every year.
Yeah, right. But I despite that play, it was an unusual game because you're playing linebacker, you're never around the ball. I got a fake punt. I recovered a fumble and ran a couple yards with it before I went down, and it set up one of our scores. There was a blocked extra point, and the ball got blocked, and somehow it ended up in my arm. So I immediately start getting tackled, and I pitched it to Andy Katzenmoyer, and Andy almost took it back. He went like maybe 70 yards. He needed to go 100, but he only made it about 70, and he got tackled. So it was just a weird game that I had the ball in my hands a couple times. Like, wasn't used to that as a linebacker.
I get you.
Tough one for sure.
And you guys go to the Sugar Bowl, which was rare. Like, that was the bowl alliance here, and then the BCS started. And Ryan, it doesn't make sense to you probably, but Big Ten teams never went to the Sugar Bowl before then, hardly at all. So I remember I went as a freshman. We went on down there, my roommate and I, fellow Alter grad, Randy Weswick. We went down and got to see you guys play. One of the best catches I've ever seen by Lumpkin on that shoestring catch he had. But Florida State just had the animals, didn't they? They had that kind of started Ohio State thinking we need to go more than 4 down linemen, defensive linemen. We need to rotate these guys.
Yeah,
And
that was
really
a wake up call. I mean, that was Florida State's like heyday. They were special, and I think there's some Florida State people would say that was the best Florida State team they've ever had. They lost to Florida late in the season, but they were a juggernaut. And we remember their defensive line and
Peter
Travis
Bull.
Minor at running back and Peter Warwick, EJ Green, just an awesome team. That was at the front end of the spread offense. I remember we went to the Sugar Bowl because we both had to practice inside the Sugar Bowl, the dome, and Florida State was finishing up, and they were running gassers at the end of practice, and I just was like, oh my gosh, is this a deep team? Because the way every one of those guys were running those gassers, like we had guys that were just as fast. We just didn't have 100 of them. We maybe had 60 of them where they were like 100 deep. There was so much competition on that team. Like you could just catching the end of their practice, you could just tell, like, if you're not getting it done as a starter, we got 3 more guys we can put right in. And they were awesome, tip of the cap.
They were, but it's interesting in college football, except for maybe with these 6, 7, and 8 year players these past couple of years. But things rotate over, and your defense from 96 to 97 had some attrition. Well, now you go into 98, and the team offense and defense is just loaded. You're AP number 1 to start the year. You're going to West Virginia. That was a huge game. Take me through kind of the summer build up to knowing the targets on you guys.
Yeah, we put more pressure on ourselves than anybody from the outside. Like we really wanted to win it all. And Coach Day talked about just been a lot of great Ohio State teams, and not a lot of them won the national championship. There was a big drought. I mean, it was the 69 team that we were trying to catch, and here it was in 98. But yeah, I mean, just a well-balanced team. We could run and pass. Joe Germain, it was like your classic, just check with me at the line of scrimmage. Like, you want to go 7 in the box, we're going to run it right down your throat. You want to go more guys in the box, we're going to throw it to David Boston or D Miller or whatever. And Joe Germain was special. Defensively, I mentioned Antoine Winfield. He was just out of his mind winning the Thorpe Award, and Niall was coming into his own, and Andy was Andy. I think one of the greatest players I ever played with, Damon Moore, maybe the most underrated Buckeye of all time. Like, that guy was just so good. If he missed a tackle that year, blew an assignment, I didn't see it.
Sure.
So yeah, it was a great year. And then, Nick Saban comes in, and we had a lead against Michigan State in the Horseshoe. We had a great week of practice, a great first half. I think it was, 21-9 maybe, with like a minute left.
20-3.
Yeah. And just the punt bounced off Nate's leg, and the whole stadium shifted. And what are you going to do? Plaxico Burress was catching balls. We had our best guy, Antoine Winfield, on him, and they got us. So that was a tough one. And I remember, like, the day after that Michigan State loss was tough, but about a week later it really started to set in. And I mean, I bet my first 10 years after graduating from Ohio State, I got asked about that Michigan State game every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. So that was a tough one.
I was a sophomore, but I was on student radio, and I was helping call the games for student radio. And so we had just filled out the paperwork for the Fiesta Bowl, which was going to host the BCS national title game. And they had sent to the Ohio State media, here, do you want to play in the golf outing? Do you want to go to this? Do you want to go to that? And we had filled out all the paperwork. We were so excited. And then that game happened. And it was interesting. A couple of my roommates and neighbors, I lived at Riverwatch Tower. And so because I lived closest, I had to take all the equipment. And so we would take apart the radio equipment, put it all in the bins, and I'd carry it across all the tailgaters, past St. John Arena and all that. My roommate and the next door neighbor had left the game up 20-3. And I'm not going to say what they had been doing, but they were passed out on the couch when I came in, and they sat up and yelled, "Go Buckeyes!" And I'm like, you don't know. And
Right.
that was that honestly is one of the hardest games ever for any of us Ohio State people. It was a tough one.
Well,
But you did
There
rebound.
are some that stand out. I think of the Clemson.
Yes.
That one, oh, that was tough.
The 2019 one. Yep.
Michigan State 2015.
That
Yeah.
one too. And
That
that
one,
one
I think
actually had a lot of the
there was another
2015.
Michigan State one in the Big Ten championship, but those are the three.
Yeah.
My
lifetime that I. Oh yeah. I mean,
and even older people, Jerry, would go back to 74 probably and talk about Michigan State because they were beating Michigan every year. Archie never lost to Michigan.
Yeah.
But Michigan State gave him a tough one there. Well, you did rebound though, and you get a 31-16 win over a pretty good quarterback named Tom Brady. Although he did throw for 300 yards, I think, in that trying to come back. But you guys took them apart. What was that like to grab a hold of that win as a player on the field? I know you were redshirting in '94 when they won.
Yeah. I think growing up, Ryan was like, how did you guys lose to Michigan? We saw that success for so long against Michigan. We lost 95, 96, 97. And like, I don't want to just say, well, we cared, so we won in 98, because believe me, every Ohio State team they care so much about that game. But we're going to leave it all on the field, and we just had enough. And I think it was a big deal for us seniors to, like, we felt like we were a great 98 team, and we lost to Michigan State. And it's like, well, if we finish strong, we can still be remembered as one of the great Ohio State teams. But if we just sort of fizzle out from here and don't come out and play with heart, and like the next week we went and beat Iowa, very important game to us as players. Like, might not have been a big deal to the fans, but we're like, we got to rebound, because like we are good, And then we got it done against the Horseshoe, and like the fans were crazy that game. It was awesome, just the energy in the stadium, and just from start to finish. Michael Wiley, D. Miller making some big plays for us in that first half. And Tom Brady, like we were in control of that game. He threw for a lot, but that was their only option. I think they rushed for 4 yards that game. And that was in a different era of football. You ain't going to win if you only rush for 4 yards. So Coach Buggett's just such a good defensive mind, and he had a great game plan. We were ready, and their only option was just drop back Tom Brady and let him sling it. And he got some, but he didn't get enough.
Well, I take a lot of pride as a fan, and over the years, and I think of a guy like, remember Tavian Banks from Iowa?
Yep.
And he came in averaging like 180 yards a game, and game days talking about, well, he could be a Heisman candidate and things like that. And I think he had like 18 yards or whatever against you guys. And I mean, that carries on even today. Sometimes a guy comes in, Iowa's running back this year, didn't do a whole lot. Like, it's just amazing. And Fred Puggich with the silver bullets and everything like that. Like, you guys were able to do this and do it pretty routinely, shutting down the best guys in the country.
Yeah, he was ready for that defensive coordinator job. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. He was locked in, and we had the cornerbacks to free up a lot of guys that, Ahmed Plummer or Nate Clements or Antoine Winfield. Sean Springs, Ty Howard in '96. Like I remember the first ever meeting he had with the defense when he was named coordinator. He just said, "You cornerbacks, you better be ready, because you are all alone. The other 9, we're going to be locked in on something else. You two, you're absolutely on your own, because it's go time for the other 9." And that just you can overwhelm teams with hats in the box and just have so many people stopping the run that there was nothing they could do. You take those corners away, everything might look different.
It's exciting to me for you to say Antoine Winfield is the best player you play with, because people would ask me over the years, calling games and covering them and stuff, and it's like, who's your favorite player? And I'm like, on defense, it's Antoine Winfield. I mean, he was 5'9" maybe, right? And just he hit like a linebacker though.
Oh yeah, he was great. I mean, he 4'3", but his feet were even better than 4'3", and the game was absolutely in slow motion for him from the day he got on campus.
Well, hey, I saw a quote from you. You mentioned earlier you kind of you finished Ohio State. You ended up here in Columbus. You had kids. You got your family. You got your business you worked in. But I saw a quote from you recently, and the reason I'm going to say this is because you went on to help Coach Ryan, and you said you got a PhD in defense under guys like Fred Puggich, John Tenuta, John Cooper, and Lovie Smith. What a great way to learn the game, right? I mean, and to be able to have that knowledge to impart later on to folks like your kid.
Yeah, yeah. Just the best of the best, and I just really admired those guys. Looked up to them. They made it fun. They were hard on us, but um, we knew they loved us, and all my teammates would say the same thing. And um, I just it was a great education. I don't know how else to say it, but I signed up to coach him in fourth grade football, and I was one of them dads that took it pretty seriously. Hopefully they had a good time along the way, but I was given such a good experience in the game of football by them that wanted to pass it along. And I'm sorry, it sounds so cliche, but like football really does translate into life, and there's just parallels, and all sports do. I'm biased towards football, but it was a great staff, and boy, if I could never repay those guys enough.
Well, Paul Barnes and I say about the Watterson staff now that we think it's the best staff in Ohio high school. And you look at guys like yourself. I know Bob helped before. Jeff Eulenhake's been helping out, obviously, on the staff. Steve and Greg Belisari. It's been amazing. And even around Central Ohio, all the former Buckeyes helping coach high school football. It's been really neat to watch. It's been really cool.
Brady Taylor's over there helping now.
That's right.
I had coffee with Brady earlier today. We work at the same company, so
Okay.
He's another one. And they all just love the game. They're in it for the right reasons too. They love players. If you're going to coach, you should really love players. They love the players. I know I love the players. And as simple as that sounds, I think you can see some people in business and in coaching where, I don't know, you run a sales force, you got to love salespeople. You're coaching, you got to love players. It's, if you're going to be a nurse manager, you got to love nurses. And it's a simple concept, but it's 95% of the battle.
Sure. Well, hey, Ryan, let's talk a little bit about your time at Ohio State so far. You're just finishing up your second school year as an Ohio State student. You mentioned earlier you're a little heavier than when you arrived through all your work. Tell me a little bit about your first season, and then even maybe the probably added, I would assume, added responsibilities as a player, as a second-year player.
Yeah, so first year I show up in the summer. You have guys in my class that have been there since January, whatever. I think it was about me and maybe 10, 15 other guys got there in the summer. But, you show up in the summer and you're at Ohio State. All of a sudden, you go from practicing against high school guys and playing against high school guys, and now you're lined up against Marvin Harrison and Emeka Ibuka and Travion Henderson, and you got those are, everybody's good there. It's just you got these superstars and guys that I've watched. It's just crazy to be out there as a kid, who last year was in the stands, watching a game, and now you're buds with these guys and practicing against them. So it was for sure a crazy transition. As far as on the field, off the field, it was really good. Everybody, there's a ton of good people over there on the Woody that help make that transition pretty seamless and flawless. But it's not easy. There was a lot of tough workouts, a lot of tough practices, and just really having my family and friends, in my corner supporting me, and the unconditional love that they show me, it really helps and got me through it. But so obviously first year, didn't go as we planned. Lose to Michigan in a tough one at their place, and then got guys leaving, transfer portal, all this stuff. The Cotton Bowl against Missouri. I think that was just a factor of the defeat from Michigan that we suffered earlier that month, and so then we got all these guys second year decide they want to come back, say they have nothing to show for their time at Ohio State. Guys like Jack Sawyer, JT, Denzel Burke, Travion Henderson, Emeka Ibuka. Those are just a couple, but get all these guys coming back, and I'm listening to him talk about that team and the amount of pressure that they put on themselves. And the amount of pressure that this team and those seniors and the captains and everybody, the coaches, put on themselves this second year. It was natty or bust. I think there's some clips of Denzel Burke talking about it or whatever. And there's probably clips of everybody talking about it, but it was come back, win a national championship. And, if we didn't do that, complete failure. So, it was really cool going through all the preparation. I would say the meetings and the preparation even before the season. That's one of the things I remember the most. Just those workouts and the meetings, and just like we were trained to win a national championship. And the tough conversations, the tough love, the hard workouts, like that's the stuff that I'll remember even more than the games. I mean, it's guys pouring their heart out in those workouts in the summer on a 95-degree day out on the field. And but then obviously get to the season and open it up. It's going good. Go out to Oregon, tough loss. We know we're not out of it. We know we can win the Big Ten, get in the playoff, win the whole thing still. And then, we're kind of finding our stride, beat a good Penn State team on the road, stuff like that. And then, Michigan comes in, beats us. And I mean, I think the city was ready to burn down. I mean, I don't even know. It was like a civil war. You got Buckeye fans, you got the team, you got the players, like everybody's just in a frenzy, doesn't know what to say, what happened, what's next. I mean, people are calling for Coach Day's job. I mean, it's just complete madness. And, I think the team and the seniors and the leaders came together that second that, I think we had 2 days off after we get back for a team meeting. I mean, I remember me and my roommates were just like, what's this going to be like? This is going to be crazy. And, we meet, and I remember we had a players only meeting with Coach Dan. And I just remember the seniors and those guys that came back. They said they wanted to come back, win a national championship. They just took the room and, led that meeting. And it was just, some of the best leadership I've ever seen. You got, all the captains, all the seniors, I mean, guys like that. And just, I mean, the way that they got that team back together. And because, I mean, make no mistake, we walked into that room, and after that Michigan loss, the team was divided. I mean, make no mistake, like there was guys mad at other guys, and we go into that meeting, and we just all came together and won. And I mean, it was just such a powerful moment and such a special thing to be a part of. And then, go out there against Tennessee, roll them, go out there, roll Oregon, Texas, beat them. I wouldn't say we rolled them, but, I think we were in control most of the game. At the end there, it got a little close, but and then, the national championship. So it was just an unbelievable experience. Obviously, he mentioned that there's a ton of great Ohio State teams out there that, have fell short. And one of the things Coach Day always said to us is, for your story to be told around here in Columbus, Ohio, the way it is, you gotta hang a banner up, win a national championship. So, it didn't matter that we beat Texas and made it to the national championship. Nobody's going to talk about you if you don't finish the job. I mean, there's been a ton of good teams fall short, and their story doesn't get told. But winning the whole thing, putting up a banner, getting some rings, getting some hardware, like they're going to talk about us. And I think it's just being a small piece of it, and not playing a ton, but it's just so cool that team is going to be forever cemented, and the legacy of that team will live on forever. And that team's always going to be connected, and we'll be at 10-15 year reunions coming out, and I'll see guys, and it's just such a special connection that team had. And the story will be told of that team. So but coming up here on year 3, excited to make a real push and get out on the field. Have had a good winter and a good spring, and got to keep it going in the summer and fall. But really excited for this upcoming year. I think we got a lot of good pieces coming back, a lot of good leaders. Excited to see what this team has, and I think it's fun coming off a national championship win and everything like that. But we got a good demeanor that these leaders are making sure that hey, that was last year. This year. Like that national championship isn't winning us any games this year. So
there you go. Yeah.
We're really pumped for this year.
Yeah, you can learn a lot from the 69 team. After 68, they won. They couldn't get it done in 69, 2003, 2015. You mentioned the Michigan State loss. Like
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams over the years, Ohio State teams that maybe even had arguably more talent, than the year before, but they couldn't get it done. Well, you still going to be wearing 46? Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I just
Oh,
turned 46, so I'm going to look to see
yeah.
46 on the field.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see it this fall. That'd be great.
No, yeah, I'm sticking with it. It was funny. I always, it wasn't the first number that when I showed up to Ohio State I was hoping to get, but I've actually come to really like it, and I'm gonna be sporting that one here these next couple years. So I'm fired up to be rocking it.
All right. Well, Jerry, let me get you guys out of here on this. Can you tell me a little bit about seeing your son put on that uniform that you did as well?
Yeah. Well, I just want what's best for Ryan, and that's I mean that with all my heart. Like, he's just an extraordinary son. He's the oldest of 6 kids, and the leadership, I mean, he showed it in sports his whole life, but the leadership he shows with his siblings is extraordinary. He's somebody I truly admire, and he's just I'm just really happy for him because he's always done it the right way. And I mean, this is a guy that's just always been really into sports, real sporty kid and athletic kid, and just loved it. I remember coaching him in 4th grade, and I'm like, it's the end of a game. We're up by whatever, 7 points. I'm like, why is he talking to the official? He played quarterback. What's he doing? And he's the kid in 4th grade that's like, hey, tell me when the play clock gets to 5 seconds. He's bleeding the clock out. Like, there's not a lot of 4th graders that are doing that kind of thing, but that's just always the kid he's been. And just he works so hard. And like, people think that I mean, I'm being a little dramatic here, but you think it's all about Saturdays and telling these old stories on your podcast. Like, it is so much work. And we all get this narrative going, like, oh, my Buckeye friends and these great coaches. It's all true, but it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like this fairy tale when you're going through it. And I think if there's anything that I want to help Ryan with, is just like, yeah, you had a 6 a.m. lift this yesterday. You got another one tomorrow, and Coach Mick's going to ask you to do who knows what in the weight room. And I just I've been there, and these guys work. They put in more hours, more time, more effort than any previous eras of Ohio State football. So it's just amazing. It blows my mind. And so much of Ohio State is different now. But what's just wild to me is, like, I'll see a practice clip or something, and I'm like, that's the same practice field that I was on. Like, wow, like. The practice uniforms. I mean, yeah, they're probably different materials they're made out of and fancier shoulder pads, but I'm like, that's exactly what our practice uniforms used to be. And I'm just so incredibly proud of him, and I want him to stay healthy, and I want him to build a great network of people, and he's going to go on and do great things. And Shane, I literally can't, or Seth Shaner, I can't describe, what it means to me. So it's thrilling. It's thrilling,
Well, this has been great fun for me to go down memory lane with you, Jerry, and also kind of get to tell the story of Ryan and kind of where he is, and looking so forward to seeing you, Ryan, these next couple of years and beyond football. Like, you're going to be doing great things in the future, and you're welcome back at Waterson anytime to help us with the halftime show or something like that as well. So I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You've always, back Waterson, treated me so well, always been so kind to me, just seeing you around town stuff. So I really appreciate it. And, asking us to be on this, it was for sure cool, Yeah. Just cool father-son moment, not a lot of people can do this. Yeah. So
that's right.
Seth, fun going trip down memory lane. Nobody's asking me about 90s Buckeye football, so this is fun. Sorry you had to sit through that, Ryan. But
man, if I could do it, I'd
some of the good and bad stories there.
If I could do it, I'd have every starter on that 98 team on here, and we'd talk about it the same way every week. It was a great time. I mean, we've all gone through our own eras, and it was a great time to be a student at Ohio State myself, and just so appreciative. And so everybody out there, thanks so much for tuning in to Buckeye Banter. Continue to check out Buckeye Huddle and everything we have going on there. And And tune into all the Buckeye Banter interviews. They're evergreen. You can listen to them anytime. We relive the moments that we all loved back years gone by, but even some recent things as well. Thanks again, everyone.
Thanks, Seth.